But right now, we have Chris Hayes here. Chris, good to see you again, sir.
Good to see you. How are you doing?
I've been doing good. I'm just finding the best and most appropriate ways to celebrate this Distracted Driver Awareness Month, bring awareness to it. I'm sure all of us have had the experience of driving down the road, especially truck drivers. You can see in the other person's window, and you see people watching movies, typing, texting, a lot of bad stuff going on the road. But before we get into that, tell people here a little bit what you do at Travelers.
So I have a very long, big, fancy title, but in essence, I work in truck safety for an insurance company. I've been in trucking safety for 25 years, which is weird to think it's been that long, but I've been with Travelers for 22 years working in safety, and almost all of it has been in trucking. Hence all the trucking stuff around behind me.
The no better guest, right? It makes sense. You're the safety guy. It's Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Set the table. Tell us a little bit about what we need to know.
Absolutely. So Travelers every year does something we call the risk index, and we go through, look at things that companies find risky, people find risky, and see just how attitudes are changing. So we do one on the distracted driving that's going on out there. We ask about 1,000 individuals and over 1,000 people who run safety or risk management for companies. And we ask them how things are going. And we get a sense of whether or not people think risk is going up or going down. So what do you think? Is risk going up or going down out there?
Judging by what I've seen, I got to be the passenger in a very long road trip to Louisville to go to Matt's, and I got to do a lot of outside the window spying, and I would say it's going way up.
It's pronounced Louisville, but yes, you are absolutely correct. It is going way up. I was taking a walk yesterday, and I had to make sure to not get hit by the person driving a straight truck while staring at their phone driving into a red light. So it's you and me and everyone else. So we ask all these people, and most people say that just behind drunk driving, distracted driving is the thing they're most concerned about on the road. 80% of people think that distracted driving has gotten worse in the last couple of years. And this one is kind of scary. 40% of people say they've had a near miss or a crash because of their or someone else's distracted driving. And then on the business side, it certainly has increased attention as well. Almost 3/4 of companies now have some level of concern that distracted driving will hurt their company.
Wow. Chris, I saw people with Apple Vision Pros getting pulled over when all those videos were going viral a month ago. That's like the last thing we need to add to this. But the good news is the result, it seems like people care, right? So are people are they ready to take some action here?
Well, we'd like to think that as we see stats like this, that people care. And that's not really working out the way we'd hoped it would. So every year we take a look at what are people doing? What will they admit to during a survey about distracted driving? And every year we see things like shopping while driving, taking videos while driving, updating social media while driving are continuing to increase. So, we say that we care about distracted driving, but it seems that until it actually hits you directly, most people still think it's someone else's problem, and I can do it, and it's going to be okay. Especially in the business world, right, we find people say, oh, well, the conference call is going to be okay. I can listen to that while I'm driving on the road. And the stats prove that that is not necessarily true. Distraction is visual and manual and cognitive. So that long conference call, talking to your dispatcher, getting new directions, certainly do add to distraction.
Now, when you're saying you surveyed businesses, you're talking about carriers, you're talking about freight brokers?
It's a little bit of both. So we talk to carriers, or to freight brokers, we talk to anyone who's got a vehicle on the road. So that could be salespeople, mechanics, your cable installer. And you've got to think about this in terms of, why is that important to me in trucking? Do you really just want to know about your vehicles, or do you want to know about the environment around you? So if anyone who's in a truck right now, look around. Your truck is a exception to the cars, to the light trucks, to the cargo vans, to the straight trucks that are on the road. So you've got to think about what your driving is like and how you can impact your driving, also the context of everyone else out there. And I'm sure your audience has all looked down and seen just what you saw, really people not paying attention to their driving, which puts a different kind of pressure on the truck driver to be safe.
When you say like distraction, what kind of distractions are we like talking? Like people updating social media, like that while driving a truck, watching videos?
And so it's real range. So we tend to think about distracted driving as just our cell phone. And there are certainly things on a smartphone that you can do that are distracting. So again, texting is very common. Email is very common. About half our respondents say that, oh yeah, they've answered email and wrote a message back or a text back while driving. Again, checking your messages is very common. And those somewhat less common things of shopping while driving is continuing to increase. But there's also the risk of things like I'm just staring off into space. I'm looking at the billboard. I'm looking down to see if other people are distracted. Fatigue adds up, stress adds up. So you start putting all these things together, and just the health of the individual driver, how well their mind is focused on the act of driving, really is important. Again, that could be just electronic distraction, that could be health, that could be fatigue, that could be mental health. It's really quite a range.
All right, so we know the bad news. Let's get some good news. Let's get some progress. Let's get some people moving forward. What suggestions do you have during this Distracted Driving Awareness Month that we should have people thinking about? What should we make them aware of?
So the first thing to think about is just what it costs to be distracted. The official stat is there's around 3,000 people who die in the United States every year from distracted driving crashes. It's close to 10% of every motor vehicle fatality in the United States. So you do the math, that's close to 40,000 people dying every year for the last couple of years. A good portion of that is from distracted driving. So you do have to ask, is that phone call, is making that order through your app, is updating your social media, is it worth the risk of those people ending their lives? And I hope the answer is no, I can wait till I'm someplace safe. From a business standpoint, I think it's really important, especially for this audience, to think about why, as a dispatcher or a manager, am I calling a driver? You, odds are, know exactly where they are. You know when they're driving, you know when they're not. You've got ELDs, you've got telematics. You really have a good sense of how everyone's operating. So when you have the impulse to, I'm going to call Dooner and let them know that something's changed, you can tell that they are driving. You can tell what the situation is. Choose not to call them. And as a driver, it's also important to say, I am driving and I'm not going to answer that call, or hit the speaker, say, I'm driving, I'll call you back later, and hang up.
You know, it only takes one misstep. It only takes one glance down, one you're going down here to put a like on your phone. Next thing you know, you're right in the back of an RV. Leave us with something here.
3,000 should be enough to leave you with. 3,000 people every year dying of distracted driving crashes. But I'll end with this. Every drive, whether that's me in my little Mazda 3 or anyone out there in an 80,000-pound truck, it's all just a series of micro decisions. How fast am I going? How close is that car in front of me? Is there someone in my blind spot? What's my destination? What's my time? How far am I going? How fast am I going? It's all just constantly churning through your head. You don't realize it, but that is all going through your head all the time. And just that one miss of, I'm going to take just 5 seconds here to answer this text and then go back to those decisions, could be the 5 seconds that really makes a difference in someone's life.
Wow, great stuff. And I'm sure our audience took that heart. We're really glad you joined us today. We hope to have you back in the future. And what's today? Monday. So you have a great week. It's only Monday.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you. Take care. All right, everybody.